the answers to Unit 5 Multiple Choice Quiz A, there were only 3 questions that were problematic, and really just the first 2 were issues. Problems 6 and 8 had between 10 and 12 people getting them wrong, and then problem 4, 4 people got it wrong. So question 1 gives you a function, tells you that your closed interval is negative 2 pi to pi, and asks you on the interval is the f function guaranteed by the extreme value theorem to have the absolute maximum and an absolute minimum. So hopefully you did some research on the extreme value theorem. Its number 1 requirement is that the interval be continuous, or that the function be continuous on an interval. So since we're looking at negative 2 pi to 2 pi, and since we have a rational function, we figure out that the domain is x cannot equal plus or minus 2. So if I take negative 2 pi to pi on a number line, and then if I denote that there are asymptotes at negative 2 and positive 2, I can evaluate each one of these functions. The asymptotes at the 2's knock out choices A and B because those intervals would include the asymptotes, and functions are not continuous at asymptotes. C looks like it's okay because negative 1 to 1 stays inside the 2 asymptotes. And D, if we evaluate, pi over 2 to pi is going from roughly 1.57 to 3.14. And again, that interval includes 2, so that would include part that's not continuous. So the only option is C. Question 8 asks you about 4 different theorems: the intermediate value theorem, the mean value theorem, the extreme value theorem. I think I said 4, but really just 3. And then it says the selected values are continuous. Which of the following statements could be false? You're looking for a false statement. So again, the point of this question was to have you do some research on these 3 different theorems. Intermediate value theorem talks about continuous y values as long as 2 inputs produce 2 different outputs. The mean value theorem is when you compare the slope of a tangent line to the slope of a secant line. And then the extreme value theorem says that on a closed interval, you're guaranteed to have a minimum and a maximum. Each of these has different requirements, but the mean value theorem is the only one that requires both a continuous and differentiable function. You're told that this table represents a continuous function, but it doesn't say that it's differentiable. Since we can't see all the points, we don't know if it's differentiable everywhere. So the mean value theorem could be false. A uses the intermediate value theorem, C and D use the extreme value theorem. B is the only one that talks about the mean value theorem, so B is the one that could be false. There's no guarantee that this is going to be true because we don't know whether or not this table represents a differentiable function. And then finally, the last question, you're given a function, again a rational function on the closed interval 0 to 5, and you're asked more information about the mean value theorem. Same idea as the previous question. The mean value theorem requires continuous and differentiable on the interval from 0 to 5. Since sine x is in the denominator, we don't want it to equal 0. That occurs when x is 0 or pi or 2 pi. So I took my interval at 0 to 5. I marked off where the domain restrictions are at 0, pi, and 2 pi, and then I looked at the 3 possibilities. 1 to 3 stays between the asymptotes, so that's acceptable. 4 to 5 stays between the asymptotes, so that's acceptable. But 1 to 4 includes pi, which is a domain restriction, so it is not continuous between 1 and 4. Therefore, the only correct statements are 1 and 2, which is choice C right here.